Here's Myšák, he scores! Myšák steals it from below, though,
with the breakaway, short-handed, shot, scores!
Now Myšák quickly had a shorty last night, and he's got one this afternoon! Myšák back the other way. He stops, drags to the middle. Jan Myšák!
Good afternoon and welcome everybody to the very special Hamilton Bulldogs pre-draft Jan Myšák special brought to you by our great partners at FirstOntario Credit Union. It's the voice of the Bulldogs, Reed Duffy, and oh man, do we have a packed show for you here today. You're going to hear from teammates like Tag Bertuzzi. You're going to hear from Steve Staios, the present general manager of the Hamilton Bulldogs, as well as assistant general manager Ian Mahar. Bulldogs OHL tonight analyst Troy Islikar is going to join us. Scott Wheeler from The Athletic is going to join us, as well as around 3 o'clock. You are going to hear from the man himself, the man who is widely expected to be a first-round pick in this year's NHL entry draft, Jan Myšák. And as we get things going, of course, I mentioned it right off the top, we cannot do this without our amazing friends and partners at FirstOntario Credit Union. They are absolutely fantastic to us. And, of course, FirstOntario Credit Union is proud to partner with the Hamilton Bulldogs to present the 2020 NHL Draft with Jan Myšák. For over 80 years, FirstOntario has supported our community and served members' daily and business banking needs. FirstOntario Credit Union, let's do this together. Visit firstontario.com to learn more. And as well, there's always new stuff going on at FirstOntario Credit Union. They are a proud partner of the Hamilton Bulldogs and a strong supporter of our community. As a full-service financial institution, FirstOntario has served our members for over 80 years with great rates on savings accounts, loans, mortgages, and more. Visit firstontario.com to learn about our exciting new everyday checking accounts. FirstOntario, let's do this together. And of course, always new stuff going on at FirstOntario Credit Union. You're going to want to be a part of what they have going on. You can participate in the Jan Myšák draft special today. If you participate in our comments during the stream, the more active you are, the better. You will have a chance to win one of 3 Bulldogs prize packs. We will be giving those away at the middle and at the end of this live stream today. And of course, Jan Myšák, guess which team will pick him. Visit HamiltonBulldogs.com to enter and win a signed puck from the team that he gets drafted to. It closes Tuesday at noon. That is tomorrow at noon. That contest closes. One lucky fan will get a signed Jan Myšák puck from whichever team he is picked to. Again, be active in our comments today. You'll have a chance to win one of 3 Bulldogs prize packs. I'll be announcing the winners as we go along today, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with everything that we've got going on. Jan Myšák t-shirts at bulldogshop.com. There's only 4 of those left. Only 4 remain. Get in on those shirts while supplies last. Jan Myšák number 19 shirts, you can have that ready for the draft when he gets his name announced. It is going to be huge for the Hamilton Bulldogs when he gets picked. The CHL app with the Hamilton Bulldogs, it is fantastic. You can download the app, select the Hamilton Bulldogs to participate in contests exclusive to the app, and receive updates to your phone. And that is going to be big for the CHL as a whole as we get into this new season. We don't know all of the details as of yet and how everything's going to look. So as things go along, if you want to stay updated on what's going on with your Hamilton Bulldogs, get that CHL app, select the Hamilton Bulldogs, and of course there will be exclusive updates. There will be contests. You'll get everything right onto your mobile phone. And I know for most people that the mobile phone is never too far from them, myself included. You got to stay up on all the news around your Hamilton Bulldogs. So as we move things along here today, and I already see that there are a ton of people jumping in on the chat. Let's see what everybody's saying so far. Ottawa is proud to announce Jan Myšák as their 2020 draft pick. So is that 3, 5, or 28? I think are the three that Ottawa owns in that first round. I'm not entirely sure he's going to be on the board at 28. Corey Eady says that it's going to be another Artie situation. Ottawa skips him and he goes to LA at 35. Okay. I can't imagine a scenario after everyone saw what happened last year where Arthur Kaliyev should have been a first-round draft pick. He did not end up going in the first round. He goes 33rd overall to the Los Angeles Kings. I cannot imagine that 30 NHL teams are going to allow the LA Kings to have another prime prospect fall into their laps at the beginning of the second round. It just does not seem possible at all. I mean, personally, for me, I think Jan Myšák looks pretty good in black and gold. I'd love to see Don Sweeney and the Boston Bruins trade back up into the first round and try to snag him. And then he doesn't have to change the colors. He can keep pretty much everything. Just has to switch the logo, and then off we go. So, of course, we've got some early clubhouse leaders in on our prize packages for being active in the comments section. Andrew Oliver wouldn't mind seeing Myšák get drafted to Ottawa, would get to see him in the AHL along with John Gruden's son, Jonathan. That would be interesting to see. Wouldn't mind that one, but I'm not sure that you're going to see him. Unless Ottawa pulls a surprise and takes him at 5, I'm not sure he's going to be on the board at 28, to be honest. A lot of talk, a lot of people. Craig Button's final rankings came out today. He's got him at 26. I think he's going to go higher than that. So I think that Myšák is going to be a fairly high pick in the first round. If it was up to me, I think Toronto sitting at 15, he would be a pretty good fit there. Not as, again, Bruins fan, not that I want to see him play against the Bruins 6 times a year, but boy, I'm telling you, he would look pretty good in the blue and white. Daniel says, I was upset that Ottawa passed on Kaliyev. Would love to see them take Myšák. Bit of a revenge moment there for Daniel. Yeah, that would be all right. Kennedy Player Reed. Hi, Kennedy. Was hoping the Penguins would take him at 15, but apparently they didn't want a first-round pick that bad. Not sure that was what it was about. I think they really like Kasperi Kapanen, but I agree. That 15 slot, that's the one that I think he could be right there. Michelle McDonald. I would be happy with Toronto. Yeah, there's a lot of people that would be happy with him in Toronto, I'm pretty certain. And it would be a really good pick for the Leafs. I mean, when you look at it, Kyle Dubas, what he's building in Toronto, I know the comments came out today that saying they're going to get bigger, meaner, stronger in the offseason, but there's no substituting for skill. And Jan Myšák is, of course, a player that has skill in spades. So I would not at all be surprised to see the Leafs take the shot at Jan Myšák. Nicole Hannes wouldn't mind seeing him go to Chicago. Whoa. You know what? I had not even thought of that. And that is scary. Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Strome, Dominic Kubalik, Jan Myšák. That would be a little crazy. Katie Hines, Toronto could use Myšák. His game matches the style they play. Yes, it does. Very high tempo, a lot of speed, a lot of skill. He would fit right into that top 6 in Toronto. Top 9 even, the way that Toronto rolls some of those lines. I think that would be good. Let's see here. JKC Guitars, 20th, whether Jersey keeps the pick or not. Okay. I that's right around the wheelhouse where I thought that he would be going, somewhere in that second 10. It seems like the top 10 is pretty secure, and we're going to talk to Scott Wheeler later on in the show and ask him exactly where he has Jan Myšák and some of the options that he sees for him in the draft. But I think Jersey would be an interesting fit for him as well. Another team looking to build and get on the rise. Looks like we're about 5 minutes away from Tag Bertuzzi joining us. He's going to be our first guest here this afternoon. We had some scheduled jumping. Tag's got some ice to get to, so he's going to come on early with us today. Owen Hutchison, I can see him going to Washington. They don't have many great scoring prospects, and a lot of their players are getting older. that's a sneaky spot for Jan Myšák. That would be a really good pick for the Washington Capitals. Yevgeny Kuznetsov, as time goes along, is going to need talent to play with. They could be an interesting fit together, or, there's a lot of spots in that Washington lineup you could see, and you're right. When you look at TJ Oshie, Alexander Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, they're getting a little bit older, and at some point, Washington's going to have to look at what is the success plan moving forward, the succession plan, I should say, moving forward for when those guys decide to hang it up. So Myšák would be a very interesting player there. Andrew Oliver, I'd be fine with Myšák playing with McDavid or Draisaitl. Oh boy. When you look at the Edmonton Oilers, that's a scary thought. I mean, another one is obviously Colorado, and how frightening that would be if you've got him in there with McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog and all those guys there. But McDavid or Draisaitl, I think I could play with McDavid or Draisaitl and not look half bad, to be quite honest. They're just simply that good. So I could definitely see Jan Myšák being a great fit with the Edmonton Oilers. Daniel back in. Daniel says, I could definitely see him in a Devils jersey. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. If they're sitting there at 20, that would be a good one. So far, we've got Ottawa, we've got LA, we've got Toronto, we've got Washington, we've got Jersey. Sean Bingham's in. Come on, guys, enough with this. We all know he's going to the Leafs. Think of the line of Marner, Matthews, and Jan Myšák. Oh, that's a lot of talent in one line. Now, I would say, Sean, you might want to split those guys up a little bit because you still got Tavares too, right? So you might want to balance that out. But you look at a power play. If you could have Marner, Matthews, Myšák, Tavares, and Morgan Rielly, or Mikko Lehtinen, who's having a ridiculous start to his season in the KHL before he makes the jump over when the NHL gets going again. That's a scary thought. I mean, that's a lot of playmaking, and then, Austin Matthews is an elite goal scorer. So there's a lot of possibilities there. So Toronto, Jersey, Washington, Ottawa, LA are all one. Chicago are all places that we've heard from. Of course, Kennedy earlier on had Pittsburgh, had they not traded the number 15 pick. And as I said, that was one that I had circled, that I thought he would be a great fit there in terms of the style they play. Talk about the style Toronto plays. You look around the league, and I mean, how many teams are there that couldn't use a guy like Jan Myšák when you look at it that way, right? I mean, there's so many teams that could use a skillful center. And of course, I want to thank everybody for jumping in the comments here with us early, because again, you are all now entered into that contest to win a Bulldogs prize pack, 1 and 3. We're going to announce the first one somewhere between 2:45 and 3 o'clock. And I see somebody has joined in, and we are going to Michigan to pick up one of our favorites in black and gold, Tag Bertuzzi. Tag, thanks for joining us on the Jan Myšák 2020 draft special.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Now, first of all, before we get into the business of the day, how's the summer been for you? I know it's been a really strange and long off season for everybody. How's everything in the Bertuzzi household?
Yeah, it's been good. Thanks for asking. It's just been a lot of skating and working out. It seems like every day's the same, so it's been a long time over here. Just looking forward to the season, but it's been good to hang out with the family. Just ready to go back now.
First movie I'm going to suggest on the bus this year is Groundhog Day.
Definitely.
Feels like we've all been stuck in it for a while now.
Yeah.
Before we get to Jan Myšák, just one from the comments. Katie Hines says, hope you're doing well, Tag. I was just wondering, what is the best part about having Jan in the locker room?
He's a Euro, so you don't really know what you're getting with him because all of them are different. But just to see him try to fit in with us and to fit in the Canadian culture is pretty funny to see. So just his humor and the way he goes about things is super funny, super awesome. He's a very chill guy, and he's a good guy to have in the locker room, really good teammate. So it's nice for us to have a guy like that.
Now, yesterday we had Jan Jeník on live, and he talked about what he saw in Jan Myšák, both in the Czech Republic and when they represented the Czech Republic together in the World Junior Hockey Championship. And he just simply said, this is a special talent, and he saw it right away. Was it the same for you when he arrived in Hamilton? Did you immediately see that this guy is something special?
Yeah, he came in and he fit with our system really well. He fit with all our guys, and he worked well right away. You can just see off the bat his speed and his talent is like not many others. So when you have a guy with that much skill and that much speed, it's cool to watch and see him do it in practice and in every day. It's a pleasure to be able to be a part of that and to be able to watch that.
You created quite a bit of chemistry with him and Arthur Kaliev on a line that by the end of the season really had everything, it seemed like, going your guys' way. What made it so easy to connect with Jan on the ice and off the ice?
Yeah, I think we were stallmates, so we got to know each other really well and really quickly. So it was nice to have that. And I think it's just a hockey sense. I think when you're both offensive hockey players, you understand each other a little bit more. So I think we had a little bit of connection, me, him, and Artie, right away because we knew where we were going to be and where we wanted to be. So it's nice to have the ability to have that. And he's such a skilled player that he'll always be in the right spot, so it's easy to find him.
Now, Daniel jumps in the comments, and you look at this, and this is what a lot of people thought. I would have loved to have seen both Jans play together with Arthur Kaliev. Would have been a deadly line had Unique not gotten injured in the World Juniors. Now, not only that, but if you look at what that would have done to the lineup tag, that means that the Bulldogs' next line would essentially have been you, Logan Morrison, and Avery Hayes. When you look at top sixes around the league, that would have been about as elite as you could get, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be crazy to watch. I wish we would have had the ability to have that. But if Yan, and Artie played together, I think they'd put up 10 points a night. So I think some of the guys on the other team would be excited that didn't happen, but we missed out on an opportunity of that.
Yeah, we were upset, and the rest of the league was sighing in relief that they weren't going to have to deal with that. Because I just go back to that thought that if those three play together and they get first defensive pairs, and then we saw the chemistry you had with Logan Morrison and Avery Hayes, that gets second defensive pairs. And then what comes after that? I mean, it's either a line that features Lawson, Shirk, and Ryan Winterton, or that checking line of Brady Johnson, Isaac Nurse, and Liam Van Loon. That's really scary. I mean, that's not a little scary. That's downright frightening.
Yeah, we were a lot more deep than probably other teams and other people thought we would be. Especially if Yan came back from World Juniors and get hurt, we would have been a dangerous team heading into playoffs for sure.
I shortchanged Navrin Mutter there too. He would have been the winger with Winterton and Shirk. And I mean, the smallest guy on that line is what, Shirk, and he's 6'2".
Yeah, it would have been crazy.
Yeah, boy. The interviews with you guys get interesting with being 5'8", I'll tell you that. Kennedy says, hi, Tag. Hope you've been keeping well. What do you think is the best part of Jan's game?
I think his ability to change the pace. I think like when he gets the puck and slows down, his ability to like go really quick right away and like change the whole pace of the game. I think he can control the game very well with his skill and his offensive ability. So when you have a player like that on your team, it's pretty cool to watch from the bench standpoint to see him take over a game like that.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one. I'm going to ask you this. Your dad, everyone knows, played in the National Hockey League, so you know the kind of style they play at the next level. I'm going to ask this to Steve and Ian a little later on as well. JKC Guitar says, do you think Myšák will be a center or a winger at the next level? I've got center. I think he's that smart.
Yeah, I think center as well. He's very good on the draws, and he's dedicated to winning the face-off. And defensively, he's very sound, and he's good defensively. So I think he has the ability to play center in the next level for sure.
Now, when you look at this draft, and Jan Myšák is being rated as going in the first round, very likely at this point, but he's not the only Bulldog that's going to be a topic of conversation in the first few rounds. Logan Morrison is in the draft as well. Another guy you spent significant time with as a line mate this season. I do want to talk about Logan as well, because what is it that makes Morrison such a special player? We've seen the talent, we've seen what he can do, but from someone who's played on his wing, what makes him such a tremendous talent?
Yeah, he's a very good passer, and he's has a very underrated shot too. I think when he has the puck, he's kind of like a quarterback out there, and he's very good at assessing the plays and knowing where people are going to go next. So I think his ability to pass the puck, his ability to have like a sneaky shot is very key for him, and I think a lot of people don't understand that and underestimate him when he's out there. So I think that's one of his best abilities, just to be like a quarterback out there almost.
A couple of interviews I've done in talking about Bulldogs draft prospects, I really think that Logan Morrison's one of those guys that plays with a supercomputer between his ears. because he seems to read and react to things faster than they're actually happening. He seems to know where everybody is before it happens. You just don't find that often.
Yeah, he's got a very good mind for the game, and his awareness offensively is really good too, and even defensively it is. So that's cool to see him read the plays like that and see how quick he does it.
Tag, this is a great question for you. It comes from Owen Hutchison because you've seen a lot of line mates in your time in Hamilton so far. You've played and had chemistry with a number of guys. You're the kind of guy that can play on just about any line. What teammate do you think you have the most chemistry with on the ice?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think going back, I think me and Morrison probably has played the most together. Even like in overtime, we get out there together, and I think we have a good sense of each other, of where we're going to be and how we want to be and positionally. But I think mostly him and Hazer, because we spent most of the beginning of the season together. I think that we worked very well together, and it was a fun line to be on with those two.
And, of course, we know the overtime heroics very well. Sudbury, the insane back-and-forth game that you ended in overtime. I believe Morrison was one of the others on the ice with you in that one. I think he chipped the puck ahead to you for that.
Yeah, I think he like gave it to me while I was curling around the circle.
So we know that we know that chemistry and how that goes. Yourself moving forward, you had a great season this year, and it was really the first one that you've been able to have an extended run of play. You were healthy, at times absolutely dominant. We saw hat tricks. We saw the way you could protect the puck. What have you heard about yourself? I've said that for a while now. I think teams would be crazy not to look at you if you're available with a late round pick. But have you heard anything for yourself about the draft? Or are you maybe looking at free agency at the end of your junior career and catching on there?
Yeah, I don't really know what's up in store for me. I haven't heard much. I'm just working hard and training as hard as I can to have a really good year next year. And once you get passed up like I did last year, it's kind of frustrating and it puts a little fire inside of you. So I think I just have to do that again, feel myself, and come back and have a really big year this year. And then we'll see what happens after that. So I think just keep my eyes on the OHL and focusing on having a good year this year is what I need to do.
I mean, you talk about having a big year, and it goes back to what we've been talking about, because very likely the number 1 and 2 centers on this Bulldogs team this season are going to be Jan Myšák and Logan Morrison. We know you have chemistry with both of them. You could play on either of their lines. Arthur Kaliev looks like he will likely be back with the team, and if that happens, then it's a very scary prospect. That's a lot of offensive talent moving forward. You lose 3 players in Isaac Nurse, Brady Johnson, and Cade Landry, who are tough to replace, but you only lose 3 players. It's not a massive turnover on this team, and when you have talent like yourself and Kaliev, Hayes, Morrison, Myšák, all those guys up front leading the younger guys, I mean, that's got to give you a lot of confidence heading to a new season.
Yeah, I mean, having those 3 guys, they are all good leaders on our team and left a big impact on us. But I think we had a really good foundation heading into the year anyway, and I think they set a good example for us heading into this year now. And we have a really young team still, and we're really looking forward to next year. And we all know how special we can be, and we all know what we need to do to get there. And I think we're all just excited to finally get back and put it on the ice.
It's going to be very exciting to see what this team does in this coming season. It looks like it's going to be a really special season for the Hamilton Bulldogs, at least in my opinion. As this group moves forward and you see Jan Myšák develop, is he on that same sort of pattern that Jan Jeník was, where he was underrated when he was in the Czech Republic, comes to the OHL, and has now become a real breakout star, and just that draft ranking is shot way up?
Yeah, he came back from playing in Men League in Czech, so he came here, didn't really know the system, only played like 20-something games, so I think next year is going to be a huge year for him. He finally understands the system completely. He knows all of us really well now. It's like a family for him now. So I think now that he's comfortable, gets everything, it's going to be really dangerous for him. I think he's going to have a breakout year like he ended, and it's going to go really well for him, and I'm excited to be a part of it with him.
Well, clearly there are some people thinking along the same lines that you and I are, because Daniel jumps back in. I can see the top line being Tag, Jan, and Artie next year. Fire.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be fun.
I mean, that is a tremendous look for a line, and I think it's something that could really be a line that captures everybody's attention, not just in the OHL, but across the Canadian Hockey League. And I mean, that's got to feel good for you to see your name listed with those guys, and that this could be something really special for the team.
Yeah, it's definitely fun because you look up to or you watch those guys and you see how well they've done individually. So it's cool to be a part of or hopefully be a part of that line and have the success that they do. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, now with Jan Myšák getting ready for his run in the NHL entry draft, very likely to be a first-round pick. We saw Craig Button's rankings come out today. He was listed at 26th. I've seen him as high as 15 in a lot of rankings, which is going to make a lot of Leafs fans smile. I'm not going to ask you what team, because with trades and everything, who knows who could jump up to specifically get him. But where do you see Jan Myšák going? And if you were running a team tag, how high would you take him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good talent, and I haven't really looked at much of their rankings, but he's for sure like a teens talent. I think that a lot of people don't understand how good he is because they haven't really seen much of him. So I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and whoever takes him in the first round is going to be really excited to have a player like that. So I think it doesn't really matter where he goes. It's just the matter that he does go, and he's going to be excited to go anywhere, and it's going to be cool to watch.
Is there a team that you would see him being a better fit on than anywhere else? I know yesterday Jan Yannick told us that he really wants him in Arizona for obvious reasons. Our fans in our comments section have brought up Toronto, Ottawa, Los Angeles, Washington, Chicago, New Jersey. I've seen Anaheim come up. Personally, I've said I'd love to see the Bruins trade back into the first round. Is there somewhere where you'd like to see him go?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter for me. Is just when he gets there, it's pretty cool to see that. I think he's a very adaptable player. He can play with anyone, play any type of style. He can play gritty. He can play skilled. So once you have a player like that, you can kind of put him in any situation, and that's who he is. So it doesn't even matter where he goes. He's going to find a way to be special somehow.
Fantastic. And before we let you go, Tag, I want to give you an opportunity to just say hello to the fans in Hamilton. I know we've had a lot of support for you, and the fans really love your game. So anything you want to say to the fans, please feel free.
Yeah, thank you guys for staying patient with us here. It's going to be an exciting season next year, and we're looking forward to it. So stay patient. It's going to be coming soon, and good things are about to happen.
Tag Bertuzzi, thanks so much for your time, Tag. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Reader.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.
All right, that was Tag Bertuzzi. He says doesn't matter where Jan Myšák goes. He thinks that Jan is going to be a success at the next level. Now, this one is the fun one, and I got to be careful because the bosses are coming on. Steve Staios, Ian Mahar, the president general manager of the Bulldogs, as well as the assistant general manager, joining me. And guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I know it's got to be busy for you guys right now, especially with Jan being rated so high in the draft. I'm sure you guys are hearing a lot of chatter, but we really appreciate you taking the time today.
Our pleasure, Reader. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Reed. Thanks for having us.
It's great to be back and chatting with you guys again. And really, I wanted to start, and Steve, I think this would be best to start with you, and then we can kick it right around to Ian. But when did you really know that Jan Myšák was going to be a special talent? When did this team really know that he could be something that would be a top-end first-round draft pick?
I mean, right from the beginning, we knew he was a high-end prospect. I don't know if putting, a number of where he would go in a draft would be fair to him or anybody at that point when we first see him, Reader. But certainly we knew he had high-end potential. We did a lot of work. Ian did a lot of work on the import draft leading up to it. We were really excited about getting him, and then you got to get them here. And getting to watch Jan we had good discussions with him and his agent, during the process, and as he started over in Litvinov, and then rolling right into World Juniors, and just seeing him, in that tournament on his home ice, being just electrifying the crowd and being such an impactful player for his country. We were hopeful that he was going to come after, and sure enough, once he did, I think when we got to meet the actual person, we got to see him live, and at first glance, and just the way he goes about his business, how diligent he is, how passionate he is about the game, the understated leadership that he has, we knew he was on to great things.
Ian, if you want to follow up on that and what you really thought about Jan when he arrived with the Bulldogs, or when you first saw what kind of talent he could have with them.
Yeah, the first time I actually saw him was at the under-17s in New Brunswick, the year that the 2002 born players were in the under-17s. And, it was very clear at that point in time that Jan was the top Czech player on that team. And it was obvious that he fit in the tier with the top other players in that tournament. You look at guys that played in that tournament, Byfield and Perfetti, and some of the guys that were already playing in Ontario, and Jan fit right in with that group. And just impressive to watch his transition. The fact that he played in the men's league over in the Czech Republic to begin with before coming over. You look at what he did even as a 16-year-old in the Czech men's league. I don't think there's many players over the last number of years that produce the way he did at that age. So just impressive to watch his transition to the OHL, but he's always been one of the more talented kids in this age group.
Well, Steve, that's a big point by Ian in terms of talking about the production he had in the Czech Extraliga. When he got called up to HV Litvinov, he actually broke the record that was held by the legendary Ivan Halinka, as well as surpassing Yuri Slager as the youngest player to make HV Litvinov's senior team. I know you played with Slager at one time, and of course everybody knows the history of Ivan Halinka. Can you just put it into your words what an accomplishment that is for a young player to take a record over two guys like that?
Well, it speaks to the maturity of the young man as well, and just his approach to the game. It's not the most impressive thing about him breaking a record like that on the offensive side is how responsible he is on the other side of the puck. And I think for me and on my discussions with any NHL teams is, what a package to put together. You have that offensive explosiveness without taking the risk on, as far as the defensive side of things. So, again, totally impressive, those types of numbers. But then you get to know the kid, and you get to see where it comes from. You go back to just his approach, and he's beyond his years as far as his approach to the game and his diligent approach and detail and habits. And, it was we've been really thrilled to have him, albeit in a shortened period of time. We were really excited about seeing him in the playoffs because he does seem to be, and he is one of those players that seems to, as witness of the World Junior Championship, he loves the big moment, and he steps up for his team in big moments. So we're excited about the playoffs. So, we're excited for him for the NHL draft, and that'll be just the beginning for him.
Guys, I got to break this one in. Lori Johnston hopped in to our comments section. Hello, gentlemen. Miss you all. Go Bulldogs. Lori, just wonderful around the rink for us. So had to bring her comment in. As we go back to Jan Myšák and the draft for him, Ian, what made his transition to North America from playing in the Czech Extraliga so seamless? Because he really didn't seem to miss a beat when he made the jump over. Scored his first goal in his second game in the league against a Kingston team that had been consistently looking up.
Yeah, I think not only his experience in the Czech Extraliga, but also his experience having played in the World Juniors as an underager in his home country, filled with pressure. And, like Steve said before, he was always prepared for the big moment. So coming over to junior hockey in the OHL, he was ready for it. The type of game that he plays as well translated, seamlessly to the North American size ice and the North American game. His responsibility on both sides of the puck, and the fact that he could play kind of any forward position with ease. He played on the wing in the Czech Republic, came over here and played center. So just his impact, in all areas of the game, special teams, center ice, wing, he really can do it all. So it's just impressive for such a young player, what he was able to accomplish.
And Steve, when you see a young player with such incredible offensive talent, who, as you mentioned earlier, plays the game with such attention to detail in his own zone, what does that tell you about a young player?
I mean, if I'm for us, he's incredible, obviously, but from an NHL standpoint, that's where you really want to, dig in on that side of things, and that there's a lot of value in that at a young age because you can grow his game in all areas. So, like to Ian's point about him playing the wing or the middle, like think about it. at the pro level. This kid can play anywhere in your lineup and just in every situation as well. So you need him to kill penalties or play power play, 5-on-5, shut down top lines, or be a top offensive guy. He's got the potential to grow into all aspects of that game.
Great question coming in from Andrew Oliver, who says, during the lead up to the NHL draft, is there a lot of contact from NHL teams to gather information about draft eligible players? Are there a lot of conversations that you guys have with various teams?
Yeah, there are. It's a great question, Andrew, and thank you. We speak to all the NHL scouts that come to the game, not just right around draft time, but they certainly, these NHL teams, these scouts do a terrific job of gaining as much information as they possibly can from a number of different sources. So we'll have NHL scouts, come to our coach's office here in Hamilton prior to the game or after the game. They hold their own meetings with these young men during the season. And then there's contact with us and our coaching staff as well. So there's certainly a lot of due diligence and information that gets along or comes along. But definitely we field calls from right up from NHL general managers to area scouts.
Ian, you and I talked about this. I joked with you a lot during the season because I am just one of those guys that loves to watch hockey and very much a nerd for the European game. But how difficult is it going into an import draft? Because you don't get – it's not like you can just drive to Whitby and see Ryan Winterton or drive to Ottawa and see Jorian Donovan. It's a lot of long-distance scouting and relying on other things with these young players. How difficult is it, and what does it say about the scouting team that the Bulldogs have that you've put together Marian Studenic, Jan Yannick, who I know was a trade but still was coming right over from the Czech Republic, and now Jan Myšák as your last three impact imports?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a fun process, to be honest with you, because you're searching for video and talking to different people. The crucial event really for the import draft for a portion of it would be that under 17 event that happens every year. You can gain a lot of information there. And then just like I said, gathering video throughout the course of the year, you're looking at statistics as best you can. It's kind of fun because, like you said, you're not driving to Whitby or to a rink in and around southwestern Ontario. So I really feel like there's a competitive advantage to be gained with the work that you do in preparation for that draft, because everybody's, we're not all driving to the same slate of games. You're dealing with trying to be as resourceful as possible, and it actually is kind of a fun draft to be a part of. Driving
to Litvinov, not exactly an option.
No, the mileage for that trip is not good.
No, definitely not. Steve, where do you see for Jan Myšák looking forward? We saw 25 points in 22 games. Players just don't show up to the OHL and do that. But what do you see for him next that he'll need to take the next step and become an all-around professional?
Just more time in our league, really. He was developing so nicely and transitioning so nicely, and I just think that he was just scratching the surface, to be quite honest. I think the point totals will come just because of his speed and his skill and his ability. I just think that there's underlying leadership that we quietly found out about along the way with him. Comments that I have from his teammates in, our exit interviews and meetings, that he's not the boisterous type of guy. It's hard to figure out if he, what type of leader he is, but the guys certainly look up to him and his work ethic and what he's all about. I mean, he's a unique young man where, if you get, I'll tell you this quick story just to shed some light on who Jan is as a person. It was his third practice over here, and we were working on some system stuff. He looked a little bit stressed out after the practice, and I talked to him, and he was really concerned about knowing what he does away from the puck and what the coaches want from him. And I thought, high-end talent, NHL prospect coming over, typically you're looking at goals and assists for some of these guys. It's not a knock against other players, but just how unique Yanni is. So I think the sky's the limit for this young man.
I've heard that from a number of people now, that exact quote, that the sky is the limit for Jan Myšák moving forward. Ian, when you look at this Bulldogs team next year and what this front office has been able to build, I talked to Tag Bertuzzi about it just moments ago, and you look at potentially Arthur Kaliyev, Jan Myšák, Tag Bertuzzi, Logan Morrison, Avery Hayes, Ryan Winterton, Navrin Mutter, Lawson Shirk. I mean, stop me. I could literally go on all day. there is no shortage of offensive potential in this lineup, and every one of them seem to be following that same lead that they want to be 200-foot players. They all want to be full-ice players. That's got to be fun from a management and coaching perspective, that we've got a bunch of guys that are buying into this, and they are high-talent kids.
Yeah, it's fun for sure. Now, having talented kids, it's up to us to make it work and make it all fit together and produce results at the end of the day. So it's one thing to have a group of talented kids, which we do and we're excited about, but we continue to not just be satisfied with that and work towards, continued success, with these kids. And I think that's a testament to Myšák. The way he was able to transition speaks a lot to the group that we have here in Hamilton as well. The other players that were already in place, the culture, the environment, his teammates accepted him right away, and he was fully ingrained in our culture from day one. So, the fact that we have that group of players in place and we can bring a player in mid-season and just continue to roll is certainly an exciting thing moving forward.
Steve, we talked a lot, and we'll continue to all afternoon about Jan Myšák and how good he is and how good he could be at the next level, but going way under the radar, and I've used the term criminally underrated. There's a second Bulldog that is likely to be picked in this draft, and it's Logan Morrison. I've also said he's got a supercomputer between his ears, the way he reads and reacts to the game. Can you just talk about Logan Morrison and how good he could be, not just in the OHL, but moving forward? I mean, that hockey IQ is elite.
Yeah, he's your prototypical playmaking centerman. And we knew right from minor midget, he was one of the only players that could take in the information all around him, with the puck and without the puck. And that's certainly continued to come to fruition in our league. And his ability to make plays and make people around him better continues to grow. Logan knows that the development aspect happens a little bit different for everybody, and some of it's physical, some of it's mental, and the maturity aspect. And Logan's talking about scratching the surface. I mean, he's got all that ability, and the strength and stuff is really just starting to come to form. So we're very excited about Logan with our team and how he can transition into a pro. I mean, everybody has their own path, and as long as the passion's there and the work ethic, and then obviously the skill, but IQ you can't teach. I mean, it's really difficult. We try and evaluate that through, even into our import draft, but for sure into our minor midget draft. And it's a component that we look at very fondly. And it became evident in that year's draft that Logan was our first round pick for a reason.
Absolutely. And Ian, same sort of thing. I mean, you look at the way that Logan Morrison has developed, and you look at the way that Jan Myšák have developed. Next season could be big for both of these guys in terms of how they're going to be seen moving forward. But when I talked to Jan Jeník yesterday, he said that Myšák rightly rated as a first-round pick, but he said as well that Logan Morrison deserves way more attention than he's getting right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you speak strictly on IQ in the Ontario Hockey League, there are not very many players that are able to see things and have the IQ that Logan does. That's certainly his best attribute. And there's no doubt he's going to be a productive junior player, but it's about now continuing, like Steve said, along the development process and continuing to get stronger and physically more mature. And, the ability though to create offense and to make plays and make others around him better is really, really impressive.
And Ian, I've seen a number of people in our comments section saying that Jan and Artie top 5 in scoring, and I feel like Groundhog Day because we've seen this once before for the first half of last season. Just change out the last name, and we could be looking at the same sort of elite grouping of 1 and 2 scorer with Jan Myšák and Arthur Kaliyev to open up this season.
Yeah, and when you look at Jeník when he came over, there was a transition period there as well, and all of a sudden the following season the production just took off, at a totally different level. And Myšák, it's we're hopeful and anticipating, not to compare him to Jeník in any way, but the production will take off, I think, in our league as well, like Steve said before. So the fact that we have these players and everybody else that's in place as well that doesn't get talked about as much, but deserves just as much credit for what we've been able to put together in Hamilton to this point.
Steve, you've walked the same road that Jan is going to walk now. You've been through an NHL draft. You've been through that first training camp, getting adjusted to new teammates at the next level and learning about how to play at the next level. What is this going to be like for Jan? And what was it like for you? What were those feelings like as you were getting that adjustment to the NHL and started getting your feet wet and learning about it?
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a whole lot different for Jan than it was for me. It was a scary scene, really. I think the culture has changed quite a bit. Younger players are maybe a little bit more accepted, but I think from a cultural standpoint, it's changed quite a bit. There's still going to be a boatload of nerves, really. It's interesting when you talk about nerves, though, for the draft. I haven't talked to Jan yet, but I will before the draft and ask him how he's feeling, how he's going to handle it. But when I asked Artie Kaliev last year, I said, "Are you nervous?" He said, "What do I have to be nervous about? I'm just sitting in the seat." So that's one personality to another. So it's a transition, but these players now, Reader, are much more prepared. And we've talked enough about Jan's maturity and his ability to go in there and understand and adapt. It will be training camp and playing against these guys will be overwhelming from a speed and size standpoint. But other than that, he'll be able to handle himself just fine.
Ian, same sort of thing. Do you see any hiccups for Jan at the next level? I mean, it looks like he's got all the skills you need to be able to transition up, other than, as Steve mentioned, learning that, again, bigger, faster, stronger style into the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, the experience we can speak from here in Hamilton is the transition he made from a men's league into the Ontario Hockey League and transitioning from Europe to North America, and that couldn't have gone any better for him. So, as you continue to move up in hockey, it gets more difficult, but I can't see why his transition would be anything other than smooth as time goes along. His game, just the maturity aspect of it and how he's trusted by coaches to be put in any sort of situation, 5-on-5, 4-on-5, whatever it ends up being, he's he can do it all. So transition wise, with time, he'll be just a really outstanding talent at the next level.
Steve, what I want to close out with you on is this has been a long off season and longer than just about any of us could have anticipated or really any of us would have wanted. But as we get set for the beginning of a new season and things start to get back to focusing on hockey, I just want to get your thoughts on where this Bulldog team stacks up, because there is so much optimism. I know from myself, from the players that I've talked to, from the fans that I've talked to, everybody is very excited to see what's next for this group. How is it feeling from an organizational standpoint, looking ahead to what could be a really fun year on the ice for the Bulldogs?
Well, for me and for us, management and coaches, we feel like it's time for the next step. And, the 2018 championship, obviously, when you put together a team like that, it comes with what is cyclical in the Ontario Hockey League, and a lot of our older players graduated, and we've had to be patient and nurturing to this young group. And what we're expecting is a big step forward. And from the people that we've drafted and brought in here, that's exciting. There's going to be competition. You named some of the forwards that we have, and the defense has been revamped. There's going to be competition, and that's what's going to drive our team to become better. Moving into next season, speaking on NHL draft prospects, I don't have to get into the names, but we got a boatload of them, right? So we're starting to, we've been at this for 5 years. We have one championship to our name. There's a process that's in place to get ourselves back. Now we're in that position. Now it'll be up to the players to prove it. I think there's a huge amount of belief in this dressing room with this group. There certainly is from my standpoint as well. So I couldn't be more excited. But again, we'll have some patience. I want to see these guys take the next step. The extended offseason has only been able to, I think, help our young players, because we have dedicated guys who want to become hockey players, want to become champions. And if they've been doing the right things like they've told me they have been, we'll hit the ground running.
All right. Well, I've been warming up the voice to get ready for when we get back to it. So, Steve Staios, Ian Mahar, thank you guys so much for joining us. And as Steve said, when we get to the end of next season, we'd start to talk about a 2021 draft special, it might be about 4 or 5 hours long, judging by the work you guys have done to amass talent. So thanks again for joining us here today.
Thanks, Reader. Pleasure.
Thanks, Reader.
And we'll see you guys back around the rink very soon. Okay, we roll along. After having Steve Staios and Ian Mahar on, we go to the analyst of the OHL tonight on Cable 14, my longtime broadcast partner, Troy Islikar. Troy, thanks so much for taking the time.
Hey, Thanks very much for having me. You got me out of raking leaves.
All right, well, I'm glad I could help. We've got obviously talking about Jan Myšák in today's special, and just having Steve and Ian on, and from their perspective, they see a really special young talent that adjusted quickly to the Ontario Hockey League and has that personality and style of game and the want and the ability to be a player at the next level. What do you see for Jan Myšák?
Well, I was really impressed with Myšák, the way he hit the ground running. A new country, a new language, food, billets, everything. And he came, right in, hit that ground running, 25 points in 22 games. And I would have loved to have seen what he could have done in the playoffs. Just a spectacular talent. He's got a motor that never stops, and it will be electrifying to see him not only the rest of his OHL career, but definitely the next level.
As Jan Myšák got adjusted to the North American game and playing in the OHL, you and I have called junior hockey together now for probably longer neither one of us want to admit. I think 10, 11 years now. I don't think we've ever seen a player that has moved into a new league, let alone moved to a new country, and fit in that seamlessly. Jan Jeník said to me yesterday he had a longer adjustment period than what Jan Myšák did. It just seems like he really picked it up fast, and that speaks to the kind of player and person that he is.
Yeah, for sure. And every time you see the kid, whether he's getting beat down in front of an opposition's net, or he's walking through the concourse before a game, he looks like it's Christmas morning for him. He's just happy to be there. He's got a smile on his face, ear to ear, great attitude, a coach's dream. And we haven't even talked about his abilities on the ice yet. So he's got that tangible that you just can't teach a player. He's going to be a dream for a team at the next level for sure.
Right now, I'm actually going to announce our first contest winner today. Daniel, please send a direct message to the Bulldogs. You've won one of 3 Hamilton Bulldogs prize packs. He jumps in with Hamilton has done a great job at welcoming foreign players to our city and the OHL in general. He's exactly right, Troy. You go back to Marian Studenic. You go with Jan Jeník, who, as I said to Steve and Ian, I know he wasn't a draft pick of the Bulldogs, but they got him right out of the Czech Extraliga. And now Jan Myšák. That's 3 guys from roughly the same area of the world at the exact moment that they were going to make that jump. The Bulldogs were the team that were able to bring them over, and it's worked out beautifully in all 3 cases. It just seems like this team has something going with European prospects.
Yeah, and if I was Steve Staios and Ian Mahar, I would just set up an office in the Czech Republic. Having the opportunity to go over there a couple of years ago and watch some hockey, some junior hockey, totally impressed by the system they have. Every player, it seemed, was a Jan Myšák or a Jan Jeník. Like, they are tough. They are great skaters. They really enforce the small little details. I watched a practice at a rink when I was in the Czech Republic, and it must have been probably 6 to 8 year olds. Very, very fine details they went over with skating and stick handling, and I was so impressed by that. But the kids are so tough, and it's everything you look for in a hockey player. And like I said, I would just set up camp there in the Czech Republic and take all my European imports from the Czech Republic.
Little satellite office, the Prague Bulldogs, maybe. I think we might be onto something there.
For sure.
So you mentioned it. We haven't talked about Jan Myšák on the ice yet and what he did. And you said earlier, 25 points in 22 games. At one point, he had 2 hat tricks 14 days apart. He scored his first goal in his second game since coming over. And his first game was against Ottawa, so not exactly an easy one there, and still looked good. What is it that you saw about him right away that made him so special?
Yeah, that first series against the first game against Ottawa was talking about baptism by fire. Not only are you in a new country, you're playing away from home, and he was fabulous. And you could see right away he had that big heavy shot. He doesn't struggle in transition. In fact, he leads the rush most of the time. Wasn't afraid. He's like not unlike every other Czech player that I've seen in the OHL. Not afraid to go to those dirty areas and get and retrieve pucks, and he'll do that. And also, he has the electrifying moves, and it's just like highlight reel stuff. And I know on the website, as of recently, you were showing all his highlight goals, and I'd forgotten a lot of them, and it's spectacular. And to think he's at this stage of his career, and we haven't even seen the best of him yet.
I talked when I was on with Jan Unique yesterday about the way he plays and the way he could put the puck out at the edge of his reach and use his hip and his shoulder to fend off defenders. He's over 6 feet tall. He's over 180 pounds doing that. Jan Myšák is 5'10", 165, 170 pounds. I might be shortchanging a little bit, but he does the same thing. When you see him break with speed down the wing and he throws that shoulder and hip out to protect the puck, at that size, the fact that he can just hold on to it the way he does, it's nothing short of spectacular. It doesn't matter how big they are, they cannot bully him off the puck.
Yeah, and that's something that NHL scouts look for, is puck possession and maintaining puck possession, and he certainly does that, and has shown that he can do it already at the next level. I mean, back in the Czech Republic, before he came to Hamilton, he was playing with adults, guys who left the dressing room and went home and to their families and wives and kids, and here he is, just 17 years old, playing with all those guys and doing a spectacular job. It's things we forget that when he was 15 years old, he played up in the U16. He scored 89 points in 37 games. Like, that's just phenomenal. And then the next year, he scored 59 points in 12 games, and they're like, we got to get this kid out of here. So he's always played up, and he's never had a problem. And so he's used to taking some punishment. He's used to playing against bigger players. He may not be big, but he's had to play big.
He absolutely has had to play big, and he's going to continue that style. It's just the way that Jan goes about things. And I know Jan's jumping in with us. We're going to have him on in just a couple of minutes. Troy, we also have Logan Morrison in the draft this year and Bulldogs as well. It just feels like he has gone so far under the radar. So while we have the opportunity with the draft special, just your thoughts on Logan Morrison, what you've seen from him, because now we've seen him 2 years in the Ontario Hockey League. He seems to get better with every game. He's got the supercomputer between his ears. He reads, reacts, processes so fast. I just feel like he should be talked about far more than he is. I would certainly have him way further up the rankings than he seems to be.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you, Reed. And I've seen anywhere from 60 to 217th in this draft. But I think someone that could take him mid to late 4th round or somewhere in around there, you're getting a steal. You're getting someone who isn't going to be necessarily making that jump right away to the next level, but he's going to spend some time possibly in the in the AHL, and develop that body, develop the skating, get a little quicker, a little stronger, but he's already got it here. And again, there's another guy, you just can't teach that. You can't teach the things that Logan Morrison does. And some would say he's an undersized center, but he's not afraid to go in front of the net. In fact, a lot of his goals are tip-ins and rebounds, and his hand-eye coordination is something we've not seen since Matt Strome. And there's a lot of similarity between those players in their style, even though their body types are extremely different. Logan Morrison, he just doesn't know that he's a smaller player.
Absolutely. Troy, all right, last one for you. We've seen the rankings for the 2020 NHL Draft. If you were sitting in a draft war room, where would Jan Myšák go on your draft board?
Yeah, it's a good question. I had opportunity to recently talk to an NHL scout who is in that sweet area for Jan Myšák, and he's around 20, between 20 and 28, and I think you know who we're talking about. And he said to me, speed, skill, off the charts, thinking ability. So already that those guys are chomping at the bit to take him mid to late first round, and that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm thinking anywhere between 20 and 25. All
right, that's a good one. Thank you very much, Troy. It's always great to talk to you, and can't wait to get back into the broadcast booth with you. It's been too long, my friend.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that for sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Troy Islakar. Always great to get his standpoint. And now the man of the hour. He is on with us live from the Czech Republic. It is Jan Myšák. Jan, thanks so much.
Hey, how are you, Reed?
Doing really good. Thank you again for joining us today. It's been a wild road to get here. Obviously, the delay in the draft and everything that's gone on that's sort of delayed hockey-related activities. But how's it been back in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, it's like it's good. I'm home with my family, so that's good. But right now, the situation around the COVID-19 is bad. It's probably the worst in Europe. So I hope it's gonna be better. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all hoping that. And as we get into it, I want to take you back, Jan, because on the Bulldogs website and social media, we've been having hashtag Jan Myšák Week. And one of the things that we put together was a bit of a sizzle reel of some of your finest from this season. So let's go back and take a look at some of the best of Jan Myšák.
Up top, Myšák, one-timer, scores! Up top, Scales, plays it through the crowd, pops loose for Jan Myšák, he scores! Jan Myšák! Jan Myšák breaks in on the right, oh what a goal! Jan Myšák around the defender, around Sabralia, beats him back to the post. Myšák's in and scores! Toss the heads! Jan Myšák, his first hat-trick. Back across, Myšák ties and scores! Jan Myšák! Corner relief doesn't play it, hit guys out at the side of the net, and Jan Myšák scores! Myšák the other way, right wing side, dragging around Kalista to the front of the net. Oh, what a scintillating goal that was! Myšák, shirt, back to Myšák, they score!
How does that make you feel, Jan, seeing all those back?
Yeah, feels good. Feels amazing. I didn't see that too much, but right now I like it.
Well, I'm glad you did. That was a lot of fun to put together for you, and it's great to see that you're back with Litvinov for now until the Bulldogs get going again. One of the things I want to ask you about, and this is something that came up in a lot of the research, that when you first went to the Litvinov senior team, you became the youngest player in club history. You broke a record that was held by Yuri Schleger and Ivan Holinka. What did it mean to you to break a record held by two Czech legends?
Yeah, it's kind of honor for me. I was so glad, and I appreciate that from the club because Mr. Schläger was the GM, and he gave me that offer. So it was amazing. It was like the dream come true, and like I said, I was so glad, and I didn't believe that. So it was one of the best experiences in my hockey life.
I didn't know this until you arrived with the Bulldogs, obviously, but you and I shared a favorite player because when I was just going into high school, Yuri Schläger became a member of the Boston Bruins, and he before that had played for the Hamilton Canucks on the same ice that you skate now. So I had always been a fan of his, and I understand that you were quite the fan of his when he played for Litvinov at the end of his career.
Yeah, that's true. He actually played with our GM Steve Stayhouse, so that's kind of like special. And yeah, he was my favorite player when I grown up. He was some kind of my idol, hockey idol, and he gave me a lot of experiences, and he told me a lot of good stuff around the hockey. So I'm thankful for him.
Yeah, great hockey player. He was fantastic to watch. A couple of questions coming in from our fans. Corey Eady says, "Hey, Jan, best of luck tomorrow night. We're so proud of you in Hamilton. Can't wait to see you in an NHL jersey down the road." You are one of the most popular Bulldogs I think we've had, Jan. What does it mean to have the fan support?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's nice. I've been in Hamilton only two months, so and I see how the fans are amazing. How you guys all stuff around the club. You're amazing. So I really appreciate that.
We love having you. Daniel chimes in with, you practice your celebrations or do they just come naturally?
No, a lot of people told me that I have the worst celebration. So yeah, it comes naturally.
I've heard that on the bus a couple times. The guy's giving you the business for the celebrations. Some of them you have to pick it up a little bit. I don't know. I think they look pretty good. Katie Hines says, did you have a favorite goal that you scored this season?
Oh yeah, I had the one at World Juniors against Russia. It was like probably the best goal I ever scored because the fans from the Czechs they were awesome, and it was so nice.
I had Jan Unique on with me yesterday, and we were talking about you and your NHL draft run, and he said that when he got to play with you at the World Junior Championship, he saw right away that you were a fantastic player, and he was very excited of the idea of getting to play with you there and in Hamilton. What does it mean to you to have somebody like Jan Unique, a couple years older, has already been drafted, talking about how good you are?
Yeah, it sounds like for me, it's like he's kind of my older brother, I was so excited to play with him in Hamilton, and it was so bad that he was hurt at the tournament, and he didn't come to Hamilton. So it was maybe tougher, but he's a nice guy. He's a special player because he wants to win everything, every kind of battle in the practice. So like I said, he was like the older brother to me, and his experiences, he had like NHL contracts. So I always try to learn from him.
Kennedy Reed jumps in with, super excited for you, Jan. I can't wait to see where you end up. Is there a team that you're hoping drafts you? Now, hang on, because I do not want to get you in any trouble. So Kennedy, I'm sorry, but I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Are there any players in the NHL that you'd really want to play with?
Yes, there are some. I love the Czech players, David Pastrňák, Jacob Voracek, Kubalik, Myšák. So, like I said, I like the Czech guys. It's maybe easier to play with Czech mates. So, yeah.
I play NHL 20 on my PlayStation, and I have you on a line with David Krejci and David Pastrňák.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Well, I'm a big fan. I was hoping the Bruins were going to snap me
Yeah.
up, to be honest. Andrew Oliver says, "Hi, Jan. Glad you're doing well. How was the transition to the North American game, and how long did it take you to get comfortable?"
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, it was difficult for me. I came from Czech Republic. My whole life I played in Litvinov. I lived with my parents, so it was like a different world to me. And I just needed 2 weeks. First 2 weeks were tough. New teammates, new kind of world, new hockey style, and like I said, after the 2 weeks, I felt comfortable and I played my game. So first 2 weeks were tough.
One of the things that a lot of your teammates in Hamilton have told me, and Tag Bertuzzi said it on our show earlier, was how quickly you blended in with the team, how quickly you got to know everybody and were tight with them really fast. You really made a lot of friends fast. Why was it so easy for you to get along with the Bulldogs players? Does it just speak to how good of guys they are as well?
Yeah, of course. They're awesome. Uh, I expect that it's gonna be tougher. And when I saw the group of guys in the locker room, my teammates, the coaches, it was so easy. I remember Tag Bertuzzi came to me. He tried to be like nice, and he's my good friend right now. I know him only for 2 months, but he's a good guy. And other players, Nate Stayos, he helped me a lot in my first days. So yeah, whole group of guys. They're good guys.
Now, I understand that you took over Jan Yannick's roommate in Logan Morrison. Have you guys
Yeah.
got Logan speaking Czech yet?
Oh no. The Czech language is probably the it's really tough to learn it. So he probably knows how to say hi. That's all.
You guys are in the same draft, so you are ranked as likely a first round draft pick. Logan Morrison is ranked in the draft as well. Can you talk about what it's been like getting to know Logan and playing with him?
Yeah, he's a special player. He's a smart. He has the hockey sense, and I like it. I played with him sometimes in the line, so I saw how good he is. So I think I will wish him a good luck for the draft, and I hope he'll be drafted like soon. And he was my roommate, and he helped me in the other ways around my blood family, and so yeah, I'm thankful for him, and I'm glad that I had him this year.
We saw you on the Bulldogs top line with Tag Bertuzzi and Arthur Kaliev for most of the second half of the season. What do you think of those two guys? Why was it so easy for you guys to gel together?
Yeah, so at first you have Arthur Kaliev, the best top scorer in Hamilton Bulldogs organization. So it's kind of easy to play with him. You just take the puck, pass him, and he will score. Like I saw it on a practice, he can score from everything. His shot is like unbelievable. So me and Attack Bertuzzi, we played together. We tried to come to have a good passes and tried to find him, and it was a whole plan how to be successful. So that was easy.
Right, it seemed to work. You guys scored a lot of goals. You scored 2 hat tricks 2 weeks apart coming to the OHL. You don't see young players do that very often. What was it like when you scored the second one against Sault Ste. Marie and saw your teammates coming over to you to celebrate? Were you just thinking, and you did it against a countryman and Nick Malik? Was it just like a wow kind of moment?
I don't know. It was a special night for me because I played against Jaromir Pitlik and Nick Malik, my good friends from Czech. So I had a good game. Of course, my teammates helped me a lot in that way. And I remember the part when I came to the locker room from the interview, and everyone in the locker room waited for me, and it was like no noise. So I came to the locker room and it was like weird. There's no noise, nobody talks. So I sit on my place, and they just wait. They just waited for me, and then they started jumping and screaming, and it was kind of amazing because I never had this experience before in Czech, so it was nice. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Those are the great stories that come out of the Bulldogs. Those are fantastic. Owen jumps in with Jan, which NHL team is the most popular in Czech?
Probably right now the Boston Bruins because of David Pastrnak. He scored a lot of goals this year, so
A lot of goals.
Yeah, and probably Tampa Bay Lightnings right now. They won a Stanley Cup, so I think that's the team.
Yeah, well, David Pastrnak, one of my favorite players. Actually, I got his jersey just over here.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite players. Troy Islikar, we just had him on, but he wanted to ask you a question. What are some of the similarities and differences between the Czech and Canadian style of game? So what was the same and what was different when you came here?
What was the same? Nothing. Everything was a different. I always said that it's like the new. Yeah, the biggest difference is the smaller ice. It's the rink is smaller in Canada, so you have more battles. You have no time, so that's the difference.
I mean, it's got to be a big adjustment just because of the ice itself. On the European ice, it's so much bigger. There's so much more space to move laterally. North America seems straightforward, but that seems to fit your game just fine with the speed.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like a quick player, so probably it was no problem for me, but that's probably the way I'm trying to think. It's not about if it's different or not. It's about me, and if I want to be like good player on the smaller ice, so I will be if I want to, if I really want to. So I went for that, and I think it was good 2 months.
Well, not only were you really good on the small ice offensively, you became one of the best penalty killers in the OHL after you arrived, because if you blocked a shot, you could just go straight away with the puck. Why were you so comfortable just immediately going on to the penalty kill?
Actually, it was like a new thing for me. When I was in Czech, I was the guy who played a power plays and who scored the most goals, but not the penalty killers. So I came here, and the coach came to me and told me like I will play the PKs, and it was a new thing for me. But I think I did well. I scored some goals, and but the most important thing is defend the power play. So it was probably good, but I see a lot of things that can be better. So I will work on it next season.
Well, I mean, that's the key to it, right? Is just keep working at it. When you were in Czech with Litvinov last season before you came over, you were playing on a team that, and I'm gonna try it, and my pronunciation might be off, but Jakub Petrzalec and Lucas Kaspar. And were they able to tell you anything? Because they both played in Ottawa. Were they able to tell you anything about playing in the Ontario Hockey League?
Of course, they told me the playing against the Ottawa is gonna be really tough. So that's the only thing that they told me. Ottawa has a very good team. So my first game was against Ottawa actually, and it was the toughest game I ever played.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because that trip has become somewhat legendary. We go to Kingston, where your first game was supposed to be, and found out the ice machine broke.
Yeah.
So your first game came against the league-leading Ottawa 67s. On your first shift, you blocked a shot, and the whole bench went crazy. What did it feel like when you saw your teammates get up and bang on the boards when you blocked that shot? Was that just immediately like, I'm welcome here?
Yes, of course. I was just like, I just felt that what the hell they are doing. I never had it in check. So it was, come on, guys. And then I realized it's like a new thing for me, and it helped me, for a mind, it's better that that your team is behind you, even if you're the new one.
Absolutely. The guys, they took to you real fast, and it showed. Absolutely. Daniel will ask the question, Jan, what do you feel is the thing you need to work on most in the future?
Yeah, there are a lot of things, like my defensive zone coverage, or the battles. I know that I have to be stronger because it's gonna be tough. What else? Like everything, I can improve everything, and I want to improve everything because I'm not done. So I'm so excited to work every day and be better every day.
What have you heard about the NHL draft? Have you heard from a lot of teams and scouts?
Yeah, the Czech scouts try to like find answers from me because I was 2 times quarantined, and then I had a problem with a leg for 5 days, so it was like a tough time for me. But it wasn't too bad. It was only 5 days, so right now I'm good. But yeah, they tried to talk to me, like how am I doing, my weight and height. So we were in a touch, yeah.
All right, Katie Hines. Katie, I'm going to announce this now. If you want to message the Hamilton Bulldogs, you've won the second of our 3 prize packs today. They'll let you know how to pick that up. But Katie asks you, Jan, what do you miss most about being in Hamilton?
Probably the Canadian style of life. It's different, and I love that. When I was in Hamilton, it was like nice. I miss probably everything. My teammates, my billet family, coaches, GM, even a Yuri. So I'm so I'm looking forward to come back.
We're looking forward to having you back. Kennedy says, what do you think is the strongest aspect of your game?
I think offensive zone, of course. I can make play, I can score a goal, so I never had a problem with that. So that's my strong side of my game. So that's it.
Jan, before we let you go, I want to ask you about the draft tomorrow, because originally it was supposed to be in Montreal. So you would have been traveling, you would have been in the stands there. But now you get to watch it online, but with your family around you. What does it mean that even with everything that's gone on, the way that the world has changed, at the moment you get drafted, you're still going to have your family right there with you? What does that mean?
It means a lot. For me, it's all about a family. My brother's not here. He went to the Niagara, so but I'll be with him on a FaceTime, so he'll be with us. And yeah, like I said, it means a lot. My parents, they did everything for me, and I'm so glad that they will be sitting right next to me.
When you hear your name called, is it just going to be pure excitement?
Yeah, of course. Of course. It's gonna be probably the special moment, of course. It's gonna be like the situation or the moment. I always dream about that, so I'm so excited and I can't wait.
I asked Jan Unique yesterday if he had any advice for you, because he went through this a couple of years ago when he was drafted in the 3rd round by Arizona. And he said, what I would say to Jan is just be yourself, keep doing what you do, and enjoy it. He is very supportive of you. He thinks that you're going to go high in the 1st round. I know we're all hoping for that, but when you hear that from somebody like Jan Jeník, who you've played with, who you know, what does it mean that somebody like that says, yeah, this guy is going to be a top pick?
It feels really good. But I already said that. Now you see how good guy he's. I really like him because he's a special guy, and I always try to learn from him every kind of thing. So now you have a proof.
Okay, last one for you, Jan. Fan jumps in, Jordan Chandler. Hey, Jan, hope you and your family are well. How big is the celebration going to be if you and Logan were both to go to LA or Arizona to join whatever you need?
If we will go to Arizona or LA, it's gonna be like Hamilton Bulldogs gangs in there, so it's gonna be special. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jan, thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best tomorrow night. Can't wait to see who the lucky team is that gets to select you, and we're all really looking forward to seeing you back in Hamilton. Good luck, and have fun with the experience tomorrow.
Thank you, Reed. I appreciate that.
And do your best with Litvinov while you're still over there before you come back.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Jan. All right, you heard from the man himself, Jan Myšák. Now we're going to bring in one of the experts on the subject from The Athletic, Scott Wheeler. Scott, thanks so much for joining us. I know we got to you a bit late on this, but we really appreciate you being along. How's everything with you?
It's good. I'm ready to go. I mean, I was just listening to the tail end of your interview with Jan there, and he sounds ready to go. I sound ready to go. I think NHL teams are feeling the same way. Everybody's at the point now where it's go time, and everybody's sort of looking forward to getting this show on the road, if you will, and finally moving past it and moving on and sort of turning the page. So it's been a long time coming. When this got pushed back from June through the summer into the fall, it was kind of like, okay, this is a little slow now. This is an opportunity for all of us, that are people who do my kind of a job in the public sphere, an opportunity for us to really dig in on these kids. But for these kids, it's the reverse. It's the anxiety of waiting for what's to come, of sort of waiting for that big moment. And then now that it's finally here, of not getting maybe the moment that they had envisioned, whether that's walking across the stage and accepting a jersey or getting drafted with your family and friends in the audience. So at this point, I think everybody's kind of ready to just get it over with. And I can't wait for tomorrow and for the following day as well.
It seems like a little bit of normalcy, at least coming back to the hockey world, that we're going to have a draft. Names are going to be called. It's not going to look the same, which is tough for this draft, especially because there's just so much star power at the top end of this. But that kind of brings us to where I wanted to go. You look at, Alexis Lafreniere is the runaway number one. There's probably a top 5 to 7 that look pretty well cemented. And then after that, like we've seen in a few years, it's a deep draft, but it could be complete chaos.
Yeah.
Do you have a strong idea of where things are going to unfold, say 7, 8, 9 and on?
Well, I think the big X factor there kind of starts with Yaroslav Askarov, the goalie out of Russia, who could go anywhere from 4th or 5th overall, right down to sort of 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th overall if things don't pan out and if the right teams don't take a swing on him. So I think that's a little bit of an X factor. And then the other thing that I think makes this draft a little more live per se than your typical draft is that there's only really 2 defensemen at the top in that group that you talked about. There's Jake Sanderson and there's Jamie Drysdale out of the OHL. And after those 2 kids, it does begin to tail off. It's a very forward-heavy draft, and certainly Jan's a player who would be included in that group. But it's a very top-heavy draft at forward, and what inevitably happens is you have 3, 4, 5 defensemen who usually are taken in that top 15. So what I think is going to happen is that you're going to have a couple of players, 2 or 3 kids who slide up into that top 15, And then suddenly you've got some really, really good forwards, some really high upside forwards, some kids with sort of top 6, top of your lineup kind of qualities to their game who are suddenly available in the 20s or in the 30s, or maybe even into day 2, like we saw last year with a player like Arthur Kaliev sort of hanging around maybe a bit longer than he should have. So I think that's the element that you're looking at in this draft as sort of repeating itself. Last year you had the Philip Brobergs and the Moritz Seiders and these kids who maybe went a little bit higher than people expected. Even a Victor Soderstrom to Arizona went a little bit high at the time, at least in terms of where they were expected to go. And I think you'll see that again with a couple of the defensemen this year, and then you're going to have some forwards with a lot of skill who are available in the sort of late first, early second round.
Scott, at the beginning of the season, Jan Myšák was a name that was known and well known for what he had done internationally with the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. He dominated the Czech junior system, came up with Litvinov, pretty much single-handedly saved them from relegation, but he was still hovering somewhere mid to late second round until January. He shows up and puts on a display at the World Juniors, arrives in Hamilton, and now the latest list I saw this morning, Craig Button has him at 26. And it seems like he's been consistently rising. What was the big difference that you saw through the season? Why did he all of a sudden take such a monumental jump from maybe towards the middle of the back of the second to middle at tail end of the first?
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't think that there was anything other than exposure that happens in the OHL that really changed in Jan's game. I've been really, really high on this kid for going back a year and a half. His numbers and his production and his play in the Czech Republic were as strong as virtually any sort of Czech race player that we've seen in recent memory. You have to go back a long way, even through some pretty phenomenal talents, some first-round talents. You have to go back a long way to the Jaromír Jágrs of the world to find players who at 16, 17 were doing things comparable to what Jan was doing at the same age in sort of the Czech Extraliga, if you will, in their top pro division there. So he had an excellent pre-draft or draft -2 season. I thought he had a very strong, despite it being maybe a little bit quieter, a very strong start to this past season, which was his draft year, obviously. And I don't know. I think what changed when he came over here was that he got an opportunity to really showcase it against his peers. And it's kind of a shame that the U18 Worlds didn't take place as well, because I think Jan was one of the players who was most well positioned to really run with it and to really sort of grab hold of that stage and to really grab hold of the limelight. And there were a couple of other players I would have liked to see, kids like Emil Andre and others sort of grab hold of the limelight, if you will, of what the U18 World stage gives them. But it was an opportunity for Jan in particular to really seize it and to showcase himself offensively. And he got to do that a little bit more in Hamilton than he did playing professionally in the Czech Republic. So that's the big thing for me. I don't think anything changed in his game. I think the skill set has always been there. I think he's for sure a sort of top 15, top 20 talent on pure skill in this draft class for me. And then you saw the kind of highlight reel quality, the ability to take the puck from the corner and get to the front of the net and score a nice goal, the ability to beat a player one-on-one or shoot through a defender's legs. Those kinds of things began to happen more consistently once he was playing against players who were equivalent to him in age. So just coming over here, playing in a prominent role, and then getting an opportunity to really dominate his peers, I think did him well. And I think it was the right move for him in terms of his trajectory, his development, all of that. So I'm just a big fan at this point, honestly. I think he's a fabulous young player, and I think he's got qualities to him, again, that if he's available in that late first round, I would be hard-pressed to pass on him, just because I do think there are tools to his game, particularly in his individual offensive skill set, with the puck on his stick to make a play and break open a game, that there aren't a lot of players in this draft outside of that top 10, top 15 that we all talk about who have those kinds of qualities. So it's going to be an exciting day for him. I hope he goes on day one, because I think he's deserving of going in the first round.
In the 5 minutes I've had Jan so far, my hockey IQ has gone up at least 10 points. Jan Myšák, is it possible that when the story about him got out when he got to the OHL, and I mean the backstory, that it may have turned some heads? Because when you talk about a kid who sets a record on a pretty historic Czech Extraliga team in Litvinov, when he surpasses the likes of Yuri Slager, who's a triple Gold Club member, and the legendary Ivan Halinka as the youngest player to ever debut with that team on the senior side at just over 16 years of age, when you start hearing those kind of stories about him and then you see what he can do, does that really play into this as well? Because at that point, you got to think there's something special there.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. At the very least, that some of the history that has come with how early he was doing things abroad is certainly impressive. That's a sort of feather in his cap that he gets to make his case with when he's talking to NHL teams and when NHL teams are reviewing his track record and all of that. But ultimately, again, I think it was the stage once he was here that really helped him sort of establish himself. It's very hard to have, even those kids who come into Extraliga early and play as well as he did at his age, it's still a very difficult proposition to properly evaluate those kids. It's tough to gauge where they're at. It's tough to gauge their skill set and how it's going to translate at the pro level. You're playing on a larger ice surface. You're playing in a professional league that isn't one of the top 2 or 3 professional leagues in Europe. So the talent pool comes into question. There are a lot of question marks that happen, and I think that's why drafting players directly out of the Czech Republic has been a bit of a volatile proposition. And sometimes the kids that come out of there and they go in that sort of top 15, top 20 range in the draft, they either go on to become real stars, or in many cases, they often sort of bottom out and they don't have the kind of careers that you might expect them. So the fact that you were able to see him in that professional setting, but then also have him come over here and play in a setting that many scouts are more familiar with, and where there's more of a gauge for where he's at relative to other 17, 18-year-old prospects. I think having that balance, having the pro game to evaluate him under microscope, and then also having him against his peers, created a really nice conversation about who he is, where he's at, where he might be able to take his career, all of those things. So now you've got a package of things to look back on over the last 2-3 years on Myšák that maybe you don't have for a lot of other kids, because you've been able to see him on so many different ice surfaces and so many different events and so many different sort of levels and quality of play and all of that. So there's no hiding who he is at this point.
Scott, we've been talking a lot about Jan Myšák today, obviously expected to go fairly high in this draft. And the Bulldogs have a second player who is likely to be picked, or at least in a lot of scouts' minds could be picked, and Logan Morrison. And I've said for a long time, and I think I said it to you when I saw you in Mississauga this season, that he was very underrated. And actually, this goes along with Corey Eady's question. Hey, Scott, where do you see Logan Morrison going? Where do you see him going, and why do you think his stock didn't rise as high as some of us might think it should have?
Yeah, it was an interesting evaluation for Logan. Logan and James Hardy, actually, who coincidentally played for the Mississauga Steelheads, were 2 kids that I think a lot of scouts had trouble really evaluating this year. Obviously, Logan played a prominent role with the Bulldogs, was a leader for the Bulldogs, was asked to do a lot of different things. And typically when you're that kind of a player, and then when you also produce at a reasonably high level, that's a recipe for being kind of a mid-round pick. And yet when you look at least in the public sphere, when you look at evaluations of Logan and sort of where he's at, he's tended to be a little bit lower, maybe in the sort of final rounds of the draft, if you will. And when I put together my final list, and he landed kind of in that 90s range for me all year, which suggests that he's kind of a late 3rd, early 4th for me if I'm sort of drafting for every NHL team, which obviously I'm not. But I kind of see him more as a mid-round pick than a late-round pick. And I think one of the things that gets lost with players like Logan and players like James Hardy is that sometimes there are concerns about skating with some kids that I think can be a little bit overblown. And everybody wants the dynamic transition players in today's NHL. Everybody wants the kids who are real burners. And there's this idea that the NHL is trending towards being more of a track meet, more of this sort of run and gun style. And I'm not sure that's entirely true, for one. And I think that there are kids who can often develop those tools and sort of mold their games in other ways. And Logan's a kid who I've always just liked, because he can score goals, he can get to the front of the net, he can sort of play in the slot, and B, because there's a detail to his game away from the puck that I think is pretty admirable in terms of just his work ethic, his ability to go and get pucks, his ability to fight along the wall, his ability to play the give and go game. Not every kid has to be the sort of dynamic, puck carrying, line driving type. I think you can have players who play a little bit of a different role. And I think Logan fits in as one of those kids who could potentially be that kind of middle of the roster complementary piece for you at the next level if he continues to develop. And those players still have a ton of value. So I think he'll probably go in the second half of the draft. So there's 216 picks in the draft. I think you'll see him go after pick 100, but I don't think he's going to, I'm not convinced that he's going to be sticking around until round 6 or 7. I think you could see him go in the middle of the draft.
Okay, so with that said, I know you're busy, Scott. It's a ton of stuff going on, so I want to get you out of here on this. Can you give us an idea of where you think Jan Myšák is going to go in the draft? Just give us a range. I don't think we need to nail you down to a number. And could you give us a couple of fits that he might have at the pro level? Because in our comment section today, the fans have picked out Toronto, Anaheim, Chicago, New Jersey, Los Angeles with Kaliev, Arizona with Jan Jeník. I'm rooting for the Bruins to find their way back in and find a way to pick him up because I think he'd look great with Pastrnak and Kasha. But is there a range and a fit or a couple of fits that you see for Jan Myšák in this draft?
I think fit's a little harder to handicap, but in terms of range, I think the mid to late 20s feels like his sweet spot at this point. If he's around to start day 2 and start the early 30s, I don't think he's going to last very long. I suspect that if he's around to start the second round, that you're going to see a team take him in the 30s almost certainly. And I would be very surprised if he sort of sticks around on the board longer than that. But I really do think he has a real opportunity. He's number 12 on my board, but I'm higher than him on most. And I think you're more likely to see him go sort of 24, 25, 26, maybe closer to 30 in that sort of 28 to 30 range. So I do think you're going to more likely to see him probably in the late first round than early second round. But I think that's ultimately where he's going to land, is in the final few picks of the first round or the sort of early picks of day 2.
The only problem with that is it means it's going to be a really late night in the Czech Republic. So
yes, it will.
Put on a pot of coffee for Jan, I think will be what to do. But that said, being late in that first round, he's going to go to a team that's still going to be quite good, more than likely. He's going to have time to be able to develop his game, and that could be the best possible scenario for him.
Yeah, I think that's true. Certainly San Jose and Ottawa still have late picks in that range. San Jose's pick that they lost in the sort of top of the draft was recouped later, and the Senators have a third pick in that range as well. So you could see him end up with a team that's a little bit more in a rebuilding situation as well. But you're right. It's the Vegases, it's the Dallases, it's those teams that are sort of more well-suited, more well-prepared to contend over the next few years. And maybe that puts him in an opportunity where, A, there's no rush because those teams don't need guys right away, and B, it gives him an opportunity to come into his own and then to come into a team that's maybe still in a contending window, still a sort of strong team in 2-3 seasons when he's ready to make the jump. So it could go either way. In that late sort of range, you could see him end up with a team that's in a bit of a rebuild where maybe there's more opportunity in the near future, or you could see him with a more contending team where maybe the opportunity is a little further down the line, but he gets to play with some better players, that kind of a thing. So it's a bit of a mixed bag in that sort of late 20s range for him. But again, there's no wrong place to end up in the NHL draft. I think if he's a first round pick, he should be thrilled. And then you take it from there and you try to build on it. And hopefully we all get to see him back in Hamilton sooner rather than later playing hockey again.
That's the hope. Scott, thank you so much. Let everybody know where they can follow you and read your stuff.
Scott C. Wheeler on Twitter, and all of my coverage will be at The Athletic over the next couple of days. I should be breaking down about every pick. There's normally a couple of players in every draft that I'm not comfortable talking about, but by and large, I'll have analysis of just about every pick over the next couple of days at The Athletic.
He's one of the elite hockey journalists today. He's one of those first-round pick kind of guys. Scott Wheeler, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Reed. I appreciate it.
So that's Scott Wheeler from The Athletic saying that he believes Jan Myšák, late first, early second, he's got him ranked as high as 12. That's about the same area that I have him in, but I agree with Scott entirely that it will probably be that late first, early second for Jan Myšák, and that is going to be quite the honor, as it looks like there's a lot of momentum for him going in the first round of the draft. Okay, we've got to catch up with our great friends at FirstOntario Credit Union. We could not do this without them. FirstOntario Credit Union is proud to partner with the Hamilton Bulldogs to present the 2020 NHL Draft with Jan Myšák. For over 80 years, FirstOntario has supported our community and served our members' daily and business banking needs. FirstOntario Credit Union, let's do this together. Visit firstontario.com to learn more. And of course, always new stuff going on. FirstOntario Credit Union is a proud partner of the Hamilton Bulldogs and a strong supporter of our communities. As a full-service financial institution, FirstOntario has served our members for over 80 years with great rates on savings accounts, loans, mortgages, and more. Visit firstontario.com to learn about our exciting new everyday checking accounts. First Ontario Credit Union, let's do this together. And if they're saying visit on the checking accounts, visit on the checking accounts, the everyday accounts. They know what they're doing at First Ontario Credit Union. There's nobody that I would trust more, and I say that knowing the people at First Ontario Credit Union. Now, we talk about our friends, and of course, we have some at the CHL. So before we go any further, let's take a look at what's coming up with the new CHL app. $60 teams, one app. It is going to be a great service for all fans of the CHL. And of course, you can download that app, select the Hamilton Bulldogs, and you'll be able to participate in contests exclusive to the app that you will get nowhere else. Do not be left out, and you will receive updates directly to your phone on all things Hamilton Bulldogs. So again, our friends of the CHL did a great job, as they always do, covering this year's draft class from the Canadian Hockey League. They have a feature on Jan Myšák that we are excited to present to you here. And when we come back, we'll close out the last few minutes of this on the other side. I'll be taking some questions from you in the comments as well. Get your comments in, because we've got one Bulldogs prize pack left to award. So on the other side of this, we'll take some questions. We'll announce our final winner. Enjoy this feature on Jan Myšák.
Hey, my name is Jan Myšák. I'm from Litvinov. I play for Hamilton Bulldogs, and I'm forward.
Jan Myšák, every time he touches the puck, dangerous.
Myšák, he's a player to watch. He's going to be potentially a first-round pick for the Bulldogs in the NHL entry draft coming in. So Hamilton's got a special player with him, and
I think that he's got the speed and the ability to make plays on the rush and get involved offensively. He's got good size. He's got good strength. The fact that he did play in the Czech Republic and played against men, and then was able to transition to North America pretty easily with Hamilton is intriguing to me as well.
And Myšák has burst onto the scene here at First Ontario Center. If you didn't know who he was by now, you certainly will. Now, Jan Myšák, is he going to be able to replicate some of the good work they've done here in Hamilton?
Jan Myšák continues to put goals in. Welcome to Canada, young man. You're lighting it up.
Myšák the other way, right wing side, dragging around Kalisi to the front of the net. Oh, what a scintillating goal that was! Jan Myšák has his second of the game, turning two Sioux defenders inside out. It's 3-1 Bulldogs. That was marvelous.
Hintz turns it over. Now Myšák quickly had a shorty last night, and he's got one this afternoon. Jan Myšák. Sitting pretty, playing with the Peterborough Beats. Moved on to Niagara, where he's going to keep his career going. Look at Myšák! Jan Myšák cuts across the front of the net, and it's his second goal of the period, and it's a beauty.
Jan Myšák was drafted 20th overall in the 2019 CHL import draft by the Hamilton Bulldogs from HC Litvinov. Touted as the crown jewel of the 2020 NHL Draft class out of the Czech Republic, his success on the ice started at a young age. Jan has represented his country many times before coming overseas to join the Bulldogs, most notably in the 2019 Hlinka Gretzky Cup and the 2020 World Junior Hockey Championship in Ostrava, Czech Republic, where he scored and added an assist as the youngest player on the host country's team.
Amazing experience. I was the youngest guy, so it was pretty hard for me, but it was some of the best experience in my life, because the fans, the crowd was awesome, so it's nice.
After the World Juniors, Jan left HC Litvinov to join the Hamilton Bulldogs, where he made an instant impact, scoring 10 goals in his first 9 OHL games, finishing the year with 15 goals and 25 points in his 22 games.
Probably just to move to Canada and play the style of hockey is different than in Czech, so I just wanted to change myself. I played against Canada at World Juniors, at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, and they always beat us with really good hockey. So I just wanted to compare to them. So I wanted to play here and improve myself, develop myself, have better skills and all of this stuff what they're doing here. So it's just my decision.
He's a sniper on the ice with a dazzling shot. In his time in Hamilton, he quarterbacked the power play, scoring 3 power play goals and using his defensive hockey IQ to add 3 short-handed goals for the Bulldogs. Don't sleep on his passing ability either, as he possesses excellent vision to find teammates through tight lanes in the offensive zone. In Hamilton, he plays alongside Tag Bertuzzi and LA Kings prospect Arthur Kaliev, a player which benefited from Jan's playmaking ability, as the 2 sharpshooters lit it up in the offensive zone.
I already known that when I came here. I watched the highlights and I told with guys that he's a pretty good goal scorer. Oh my God, his shot is incredible, so good. So it's like easier when you see him. Just give him the puck and he can score from every shot.
He notices a few differences between his time in Europe and the OHL. The smaller rink forces him to develop the physical side of his game, which was one of the factors which led to him joining the Bulldogs, and now playing alongside players his own age to help get a better sense of his development.
Well, great job by our friends at the Ontario Hockey League, SJ Marr, Josh Sweetland, Jordan Henry. They do a great job on the social side, so I just wanted to shout them out as well. You heard a lot of voices in that feature. Chris Abbott and Norm Miller from Cable 14. Of course, Norm and I have been broadcast partners for a long time, and I can borrow him for the radio every once in a while, myself included. I get the pleasure of calling every single game for the Hamilton Bulldogs. I mean, you want to talk about living a dream. As a kid, this is what I wanted to do, and it is everything that you could have wanted, and then some, being the voice of your hometown hockey team. So it is really just an honor to be involved with something like this and to see players that we watch night in, night out in the city of Hamilton going on to big things in the National Hockey League. We got that feeling last year with Arthur Kaliev and his draft, and now with Jan Myšák, and I believe Logan Morrison is going to be taken somewhere in those middle rounds, as he darn well should be. He's an excellent hockey player. So I think we're going to have a big draft for the Hamilton Bulldogs. And then, as Steve Stales mentioned on the show earlier, we're going to have a bigger draft next year, because when you look at the 03s on the Bulldogs that could get picked, there's a whole bushel of them. So that is going to be fun, including new arrival import Artyom Grushnikov, who, wait until you see him on the Bulldogs blue line. Corey Eady says, hey, Reed, awesome job today. Really learned a lot from you and the guests. So great to be a Bulldogs fan. Corey, it's only going to get better from here. I can tell you that right now. Again, from my position, having the pleasure and the honor of working with this front office and working with the management group, and seeing the dedication that everybody from Michael Landlauer through Steve Stales and Ian Mahar and everybody through the scouting staff has, that is fantastic to see. And they have really put this organization in great shape moving forward. Andrew Oliver, Reed, and everyone in the background, great job putting this Jan Myšák special together. I've got to give a big shout out to Storm Harding. He and I work together on a ton of stuff. Pretty much when you see Bulldog social media, it's a lot of times Storm, sometimes me, but he does such incredible work editing videos and putting together campaigns for us. And he's the guy that runs all this in the background that you don't see on camera. So thank you to Storm Harding for being a driving force in putting this together. It is so much fun to get to work with him on that. Katie Hines, not a question, but I just wanted to say I'm the only Bulldogs fan in my household. My dad is a longtime Kitchener Rangers fan. Well, okay, yeah, they are a pretty legendary group. Kennedy Reed helped a little in making my decision on what team I picked to cheer for. Great job, Kennedy. Keep bringing them over to the black and gold. Katie, we're so glad to have you along for this. The Bulldogs are only going to be better, but I can't blame your dad. The Kitchener Rangers are a legendary program. As much as I lean to the black and gold, I can see it. I mean, before the Hamilton Bulldogs were an OHL team, I grew up a London Knights fan. So you see, though, no more green and gold. It is all black and gold, as evidenced by the jerseys behind me and the crest I so proudly wear. Daniel jumps in with was looking forward to this since it was announced. Great job, Reed, and the rest of the team that put on this event. Thank you so much. And Kennedy Reed back in. Thanks, Reed, and everyone else who contributed for putting this together. Can't wait to be back in the rink and in the booth. Kennedy, I'm going to have to use you for some updates this season. We'll have to do a little bit of back and forth. The only problem is going to be the whole Reed thing. That could get confusing really, really quick. But I think we can figure it out. Nicole Hannes, thank you for all you guys do to keep the interactives and keep us fans involved. It's our pleasure, really. What we're trying to do right now is moving forward with Bulldogs Live. We're looking to bring in a lot of the newer players that have been acquired this offseason, be it through the draft. You saw Jorian Donovan this past week. We're looking forward to getting Colton Kammer on as well. We'd like to get Jonathan Malee and Patrick Thomas, if we can, to join us on that. I've got some ideas for what we could do with Colton Kammer because there's some great stories about him and the Winterton family having grown up together. So stay tuned for that. I know we're going to have Logan Morrison and Avery Hayes back together on here at some point as well. We're just putting the date and time together for that. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. And, of course, I hope you're all going to be watching along with the draft tomorrow night to see where Jan Myšák is going to end up. So we heard a lot of predictions earlier from the comments section. If you didn't get a prediction in, or if you want to make a change after you've heard some of the guests and the predictions of where he's going to go, feel free to hop into the comments. I loved hearing right off the bat all the different places where people thought he would go and thought he would fit. And what I really take away from that is the Hamilton Bulldogs have a very intelligent fan base, because a lot of people made really good arguments for why they think their team or a certain team will be able to bring the best out of Jan Myšák. Daniel, back in with grew up in Ottawa. Can't wait to see what Jorian Donovan brings. If he's anything like his dad was, he's going to be fast, and he's going to be a lot of fun to watch play. Of course, his dad was Sean Donovan, who was awesome in the National Hockey League. Just a ton of fun to watch play. Corey Eady says, changing my pick from 35 LA to 19 Calgary. I think that's a smart change, Corey, because from talking to Scott Wheeler, I'm more and more convinced that he's not going to make it out of the first round. I'm really convinced he's not going to make it past that first round, because I really think that if he's on the board near the end of the first round, as we've been live, news is broken that the Ottawa Senators are like 1% now to keep the 28th pick. I could see a team jumping in and making a deal to get Jan with the 28th pick. So I could see that happening. And I would fully support that, especially if the other black and gold team I support decided to pull that one off. Stephanie Wade says, Dallas Stars, they love the OHLers and the Bulldogs. Well, Nick Camano was just in the Stanley Cup final for them. Ben Gleason's in the system. I mean, there's a lot of teams that the Bulldogs could be doing a takeover on sooner rather than later, depending on where guys like Myšák and Morrison go this year. And then next year, I'm not even going to try to run through the names. There are so darn many of them. Corey Eady, you are going to be the winner of the last Bulldogs prize pack here today. Please get in touch with us on our social media, and we'll let you know where to pick that up. So thank you very much to Corey for being along with us for the ride today. Kennedy says, I think I'm going to go with number 20 to Jersey. Yeah, I like that pick. There's something about that, Kennedy, that I really think you're on to something there. And Daniel says the same thing. I'm going to say Devils take him in the first. I think you guys are on to something there. 20 seems right about that sweet spot for him. I think that's going to be right around where it is. Avery Hayes, I just saw Avery Hayes jump in here at the end on the comments. And, of course, he's going to be one of those guys in the draft next year that's just going to have so many Bulldogs. This special is going to go from being 2 hours to about 6. It's going to be an all-day affair next year when we break this thing down. But hello to Avery Hayes. So as we wrap this thing up, once again, let's just go through the things that we've been talking about all day outside of Jan Myšák in the draft. FirstOntario Credit Union. Of course, we could not do things like this without them. If you want to talk about a great partner for the Hamilton Bulldogs, First Ontario is exactly that. They're always with us. And First Ontario Credit Union is proud to partner with the Hamilton Bulldogs to present the 2020 NHL Draft with Jan Myšák. For over 80 years, First Ontario has supported our community and served our members' daily and business banking needs. And as well, new things all the time. First Ontario Credit Union, a proud partner of the Hamilton Bulldogs and a strong supporter of our communities. Boy, they aren't kidding. As a full-service financial institution, First Ontario has served our members for over 80 years with great rates on savings accounts, loans, mortgages, and more. Visit firstontario.com to learn about our exciting new everyday checking accounts. First Ontario Credit Union, let's do this together. I would encourage you to visit that and take a look. If they're saying it's good, it's good. The CHL app, we talked about it. We saw it a little bit earlier. Download the app, select the Hamilton Bulldogs to participate in contests exclusive to the app. You won't get access to them anywhere else. You have to have the app to get in on them that are coming up. There are exclusive ones right to it. It'll come right to your phone along with updates and so much more. The CHL app and the Hamilton Bulldogs want you to pick us when you look at that app. Jan Myšák t-shirts. Hamilton Bulldogs shop, and that is bulldogshop.com. There were 4 left when we opened this feature up today. I do not have the current number, but it is 4 left at the beginning. So if you want one, get it now. Do not delay. Those number 19 Jan Myšák shirts, we started with 19 just the other day. We're already down to 4. And of course, the Jan Myšák draft contest. We've been talking about it in the comments all day, but guess which team Jan Myšák will be picked by? Visit hamiltonbulldogs.com to enter, and if you are that lucky entrant, you will win a signed puck from the team that Jan Myšák gets drafted to. It closes Tuesday at noon. And just for the record, I am not eligible for that contest, so even if my pick is right, it doesn't matter. And I think I'm going to close this out. Oh, hey, while we've got news, and this is why I absolutely love this fan base. We've got news coming in that while we're talking about Jan Myšák being drafted, one of the Bulldogs graduates that is in the National Hockey League has just re-signed. It is Matt Luff with the Los Angeles Kings, a 1-year, 2-way contract. Stephanie Waite with the information on that one. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for letting us know about that. Great to see that Matt Luff continuing his pro career in the LA Kings organization. I think he's going to be a breakthrough player before too long. So I'm going to close this out with my pick. And again, like I said, I'm not eligible for the contest. I'm picking Jan Myšák at number 15 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I said it off the top, not that I necessarily want to see him go there because he could haunt the Bruins down the road, but I think the Leafs play a style that is conducive to his game. They'll be able to give him the time to develop, to get to the National Hockey League, and I just think that there is a really good gelling there that could happen. I mean, they've seen him all season. He's been essentially right in their backyard. I just think it makes too much sense for the Leafs to do it. My fantasy pick, Bruins trade up to number 28 with the Ottawa Senators and somehow manage to steal Jan Myšák in the draft. I'll be doing cartwheels all the way down the road if that happens. Thank you guys very much for being along for the ride with us today. Again, enter our contest on the website. If you won one of the 3 prize packs today, get in touch with the Hamilton Bulldogs on social media. It was so great to be with you. Stay tuned to all Bulldogs social media. We'll have you updated soon on when we will have our next episode of Bulldogs Live. Again, we're looking at a lot of options for it, and Avery Hayes has been watching along, so I'm going to get in contact with him here shortly to see what we can put together. Thank you so much for joining us on the 2020 Jan Myšák Draft Special. Have a wonderful day.